Happy Tuesday. Hi, you guys. Happy Let's Talk Tuesday. How are you? I hope you're having a really good week and getting ready to celebrate all things America and Independence Day. Um, I don't know if you have big plans, but whatever your plans are, I hope you stay safe. If it involves, exploding little firework things and all that. I'm always amazed since I've moved here to the Boise area, amazed at it isn't little fireworks that my neighbor set off. I mean, these are full on aerial fireworks. I didn't know you were allowed to do that. Definitely not in California anymore, that's for sure. But hi, Charles. Good to see you from Washington. And Emily, of course, great to see you. Detroit. Suzanne, so good to you wonderful person too. Hi, Ivy. Ivy and your mom. Hi, Alabama. Paige from Alabama and Kathy from Ohio. Great to see you, Kathy. Rhonda Lynn, Brea, good old Brea. I was just there last week. Hi, Ann. Good to see you today. Oh, thank you. The shirt's a little red, white, and blue, right? Just in an unconventional way. Trying to stay Americana, but yet, a little fashion. Melissa, Mississippi, Grace Marie from Nashville. I'll be in Nashville the end of next week for the Focus Conference next week, 11th and 12th. So a week from this Friday and Saturday will be the Focus Conference in Nashville, Tennessee. I will be there. A lot of other great people will be there. Hi, Carolyn. Great to see another Washington State. Does Carolyn know Charles from Washington State? If you don't, you're both in Washington State. Tommy, hello from Ohio. Aloha, Oahu. Oh, I long for a Hawaii visit. I'm way overdue. Hi, great to see you, Michelle and Colin, and hi, Brian. So, Brian Jagger, we're going to have him on one of these days soon because Brian is very knowledgeable in all things AI. And I know that that's been a big question for a lot of people. So I want to have him on in a few weeks to talk about the AI world and kind of what's developing there and how that's progressing, and give an opportunity for him to maybe answer some of your questions in that world. But also, Brian Jagger is the creator and owner of Casting Calls America, or part owner. I think he has a partnership with there, but he's the creator, the mastermind behind Casting Calls America, which includes faith-based casting. And so I see Michael, Wisconsin, Carolyn, Caitlin, great people. Love seeing you all. Hi, Robin, Carrie. So Brian Jagger is the mastermind. And the way that faith-based casting came about, basically, was Brian was one of the first people I met when I moved here to Idaho, and I went to an industry SAG actor kind of forum that a fellow casting director in this area had put on. And as I was walking out, happened to chat with this gentleman who was also walking out, and turned out to be Brian. And just through small talk, he was talking about that he owned Casting Calls America. And he talked about that they had several kind of subcategories within Casting Calls. So they have like Casting Calls Sacramento, Casting Calls Las Vegas, and they have it broken down by city, but they also have it broken down in some places by category, like a category of actor or category of type. And I mentioned to him that I had been dreaming and talking for a while about the need for a place where faith-based filmmakers and producers could go and connect with actors who specifically want to be a part of faith-based projects and faith-based content. And that conversation and Brian's brain actually being able to process that. And he said, I can do that. I know how to do that. And sure enough, he did. Um, Amazing. I mean, just so quickly. It was really a God thing when Brian and I met. And Brian and his wife and his kids have become dear friends actually here in Idaho. And through Brian and through um, faith-based casting and kind of working with him and using the platform, I have come to know our guest for tonight, which is Jason Bortz. And he is basically now overseeing, he's the creative content director for faith-based casting, and he's the hands-on day-to-day guy who is monitoring what's getting posted up there. He's working with producers to get their projects posted. He's working with basically all sides of the scenario. And so I'm just excited that Jason is going to be coming on. So let me introduce you to Jason Bortz, who is all things faith-based casting, and Brian Jagger's the big guy over here, and Jason's the one hands-on doing the day-to-day work with faith-based casting. So let's bring Jason in.
Hey, how's it going? Hi. So
Hi.
Brian's watching, so I gotta go. No.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's awesome. No, she's absolutely right. Brian, his brain, I don't know. I have a lot going on in my head, but it's all like acting, creative, writing, directing. He's like, ChatGPT. Sure, I could create a safeguard for that and make sure that people can do this with it. I'm going to build that. Oh, that needs over here, so I'll do this, and then I'll do that, and then I'll do that. And then he's got like 50 of those things going on. I go, I understand like one of the things you're talking about. So I'll do that one. Tell me about faith-based casting. No, Brian's awesome. And
and it's so interesting. We meet people along our path, and you'll say something to someone, and sometimes they'll say, oh yeah, I know how to do that. And you think, okay, there's probably a 50-50 chance they actually can do what they say they can do. And I honestly don't even think it was 48 hours before Brian was like, what do you think about this? This is a prototype. I was mind blown.
Yes.
And clearly Brian was brilliant enough to recognize that someone else needed to take the day-to-day reins on faith-based casting because he is a million places at once.
Sure.
And so tell me how you came to be working with him and overseeing not only in Casting Calls America in general, but specifically faith-based casting.
Well, he was crying really hard one day. No, I'm kidding. No. I had known Brian from Sacramento, the acting scene here, and he was involved in filmmaking here, and I was involved in filmmaking here. And he had started Casting Calls Sacramento in Sacramento. I don't know how that happened, but he started that there, and that's when I met him. And then he had made he had worked on a couple of independent films, and I got to know him a little bit better. And then when I ran into him again, I hadn't seen him for a long time, but he had moved. And he said, when he came back, we started talking. He said, hey, I have an idea. So how would you feel about running faith-based casting? How would you feel if we brought you on to kind of head that up? And I was like, yeah, sure, absolutely. Because it's such a ripe medium, and it's becoming riper and riper, but it's been so green for a really long time. And he brought me in at a time that I'm very excited about, because there are a lot of professionals there are a lot of amateurs who are becoming professionals, and there are a lot of professionals who understand, the need for a hub, the way that faith-based casting is a hub for the creative that doesn't want to be immersed in an industry of nihilism and, self-consciousness, one that celebrates the human spirit and the ability to glorify God with what they do.
Right. So your heart is very much aligned with the content being created by those who are using faith-based, and I love that, just because you get it, right? Because you're the one. Are you the one vetting which project, like ensuring that what gets posted actually isn't
Yeah.
full of language and
Yeah, I would say 90% of the time, because there are some times where we do have other people who are doing input. But as soon as I see one that comes up, I email the people and then I contact them. I start talking to them about their project. Or conversely, when they receive a project, and it's like 2 a.m. for me and I'm asleep, they'll email me right away and say, "Hey, look into this as soon as you see it and let us know." And we'll leave it in a pending status to make
yes.
sure that we can read it through and go, you know, um, I'm sorry, but you got a whole lot of nudity in this. No, but we just make sure that and there have been a few times where it's been kind of ambiguous, but we're not.
Mhm.
I mean, we are faith-based casting. The majority of our stable, almost everybody who's signed up, it just wants to do faith-based films. But we also do family-friendly films. So we
Yes.
vet those as well to make sure that they contain values that aren't, sacrilegious for one thing, or obscene, or things that could be
Mhm.
in a Hallmark movie, or things that could be
Right.
rated G or an easy PG.
Right.
So we also are reaching out to people who just want to make those types of films too, because that crossover is an easy one to make.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely, and I think yeah, because as I understand, and actors, you can chime in on this, but as I understand, it's not so much that every film has to be an on the nose Christian film as far as what the actors are looking for. They just don't want they want to not do content that is counter to their heart and to
correct.
their convictions and to what they believe God would have them do. And
Yes.
so, yeah, your average Hallmark movie or again, just sort of family friendly,
Yeah.
fun, or a general inspirational as opposed to specifically like evangelistically inspirational. But there's other stories that can be inspirational
Mhm. Yeah.
without being as much on the nose as far as uh, biblical or something like
Hmm.
that. Um, so I'm looking through. Okay, so two questions have come up.
Yeah.
One, how many SAG projects go through faith-based casting? Do you have a sense? Is it mostly non-union at this point,
It's
or a
growing.
balance?
It is growing. It was largely non-union for some time. Casting Calls America has many more SAG projects as a whole, but Casting Calls America is a largely secular
Hmm.
engine. It's not secular in practice.
Right,
It's not faith-based.
right.
And we are in over 30 markets now, and so we're all over the United States. And faith-based casting, I would love to see it get to a point where we are regionalized as well.
Hmm.
But largely, the projects that we began with are people who want to make a faith-based film. So it doesn't matter, or a faith-based project. So it doesn't matter if it's stage or a church production or
Hmm.
commercials or an independent film or a student film. We want people of the faith to be hungry to make content. And so they
Yes.
first need to be introduced to it. And because, like the first time I went to ICFF, the International Christian Film Festival, I was so tentative in going because a lot of Christian content relies on charity. It relies on
Mm,
churchgoers who know the language, who know the lingo to love it. Um,
right.
and the year I went, they had a forum specifically about, hey, we have to rise up to the level of secular filmmaking, professional filmmaking. So we have to study, we have to be excellent, we have to pursue
Right.
excellence and not just a calling. You can
Yes.
pursue a calling by, God wants me to go outside and be in movies. And it's like, okay, so what are you going to do? I'm going to be in movies. Right. What are you going to do first? I'm going to sign up with faith-based casting. Okay, it's a great idea. Let me also recommend you get some training. Yeah, but it's true. Training is incredibly important. God demands our first fruits. He wants
Right.
excellence. And for us to just want him to do all the work, that's not this industry, because it is an
Yes.
industry. Now things are starting to come around where more and more people who have more and more resources and
Mhm,
more ingenuity and understanding of the mechanics of filmmaking, from
mhm.
concept and pre-production all the way through completion, development, completion and marketing and distribution,
Right.
and self-distribution models that are arising. It's ingenious, some of the things that are going on, and now it's starting to gather some momentum.
Yes.
Our goal with faith-based right now is to let people know that we're there as a resource. And if you're SAG and you just want to go for SAG projects, we are free to that actor. If you're an actor who wants to do both, then you pay a nominal to $9.95 a month fee, and then you can do both. But for production, we're free. We do it all. We'll post all
Yes.
of your roles. I'll do it for you. I give them my phone number. You can text me anytime. And I get people who call me at 9:30 at night, and they go, okay, so I have this idea for a movie. And I'm like, okay, all right, what's your idea? Because, but because, it's like, all right, I got time. I'll sit here and listen to you. I will warn them. I can't, I'm not a producer. I'm not going to phone
Right.
you. And they're like, oh,
Yeah.
no, what do you think of this? I just love it because people feel like they have a safe place to create.
Yeah.
And more people are starting to trust that leaders and influencers in the faith-based market are also trustworthy.
Yeah.
For the most part, you do have your exceptions, but
Right.
when you have a program like we have, where we vet it and we make sure that it's compatible with our stable of talent,
Yes.
then we feel good about offering it to them, and they feel good about receiving and auditioning for those people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, another question that came in is, will there be some upgrades coming on the platform? If so, what would those be? Do you guys have any, what are your future plans, or is there anything cooking we don't yet know about
It's
for
all going to
FaithBased?
be holographic, just like in Star Wars.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Great.
no. Actually, that's really the secret, is we're just going to make it Star Wars. No, there are things coming up actually this year. We are, and Brian, I'm sure when you bring him on, will be much more adept at going into the detail of how those projects work. But
Yes.
I will say that I have been working really hard to break some of his new software, some of his new
Awesome.
programming, because you have to do that before you release it to people. So
Right.
I have, in fact, just yesterday, I sent another email to one of the developers and said, yeah, I think I broke this part. And they're like, oh, no, you, I refreshed it while you were in there. I was like, oh, right. So you broke it for me, but
Yes.
yeah, so we are developing things, and we are currently in the process of I don't want to say too much, but we do have a test market targeted, and we are in the go process of finalizing that test market release. Other than
That's
that,
awesome.
that's really something for Brian to talk about, since it's
Right.
his baby, and
Yes.
and he's also much smarter at that sort of thing. You can ask me about acting and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, but there are things coming down the pipe, definitely.
Well, and that's one thing I will say about my experience with Brian and faith-based casting, which is, you guys are constantly thinking of what's next, or what's coming, or what's new technology that is happening, and responding very quickly, which is wonderful. It's really wonderful. And by the same token, when I've had a problem or a question or an adjustment that needed to be made, it happens so fast. And so I really appreciate that. And that's one of the things I'd love the actors just to know. And by the way, you guys, community that's on here, I am not financially associated or affiliated with faith-based casting at all. I talk about it a lot, but I'm not. So I don't get any monetary benefit to you guys signing up on faith-based casting.
Nope.
I'm not selling anything here. I don't get a piece of every time you, upload or sign up. But I just truly believe in the community and the tool being built, because I hear so much all the time, everywhere I go. I want to know about faith-based projects. I want to be involved in projects that are inspirational or family friendly, or just not filled with muck, and just things I can be really proud of working on. And so I think that I'm excited about what faith-based casting can be and can become that. And obviously there's some things that have to happen, both sides. It's not just about all the actors signing up, but it's also about the producers and the other casting directors using the platform as well. So, it's going to take both sides.
Mhm.
And if I understand right, Jason, from what you and I have talked about, is that that's one of the things you are actively engaging with is the producer side of
Mhm.
things, right?
Yes. In order to just, I mean, in order, we want our actors to work. And the problem, one of the schisms is that producers and directors and storytellers don't know we're there yet. And so, but
Yes.
they will largely go, okay, I have a story I want to tell. Bobby, come here. Mike, come here. Tammy, you guys can act, right? And but they don't know that there's this free resource out there for them
Right.
that we in turn populate roles, which in turn feeds the it's I won't say symbiosis, but it's an idyllic serendipitous relationship.
Right.
Uh, and that's the nature of the business. I mean, you look at great production models in the industry, and the best thing that you can hope for is building a team that they work together again and again and again in perpetuity,
Right.
because that is, you've got sustainability that way. And
Yeah.
that's the goal, is not only just, it's not maintaining an idealism of, well, we're going to be different from Hollywood. It's sustainability in a market that desires to be, wholesome
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
safe viewing and
Mhm.
exciting at the same time, and
Mhm.
evolving in the content in such a way that as we move forward into an age of these things,
Right.
being innovative and relevant enough to keep up on the current technology. And that's one of the things that Brian's gifting is understanding technology. One of my
Mhm.
giftings is understanding people and storytelling, and being absolutely fearless in talking to people, and the
Right.
only
Right.
kickback that you get is a spiritual kickback. I think God blesses you for every time that you refer us to people. But
There
but
you
that might
go.
be true. I mean,
No, and
yeah, I just
I
want
just
go ahead.
this community, us, our Tuesday night Let's Talk community and the community that I get to interact with,
Mhm.
we are a community of people who want to see the storytelling and culture changed via storytelling, because we
Yes.
know that it's one of the key tools that we can use. We certainly know it's being used by those who are not promoting faith and
Mhm.
inspiration. And so, I just want to see it used by God and God's people in a way that that does change and affect culture. And
Yeah.
I love that you have the same heart, Brian has the same heart,
Mhm.
and while you guys, again, you have Casting Calls America, which is broad and is not focused specifically on faith-based or family-friendly kinds of content,
Mhm.
but I know your hearts as people,
Right.
is really behind the goals, our goals as a community of what we'd like to see grow.
Right.
So I really love that. And I wanted you guys, our group here, our community, I wanted you guys to know that as well, because authenticity is important to us. And
Yeah.
it isn't that just some person, some company, some owner of Casting Calls America said, "Oh, there's faith-based stuff now. Let's see how we can make a dime off of those
Right.
people." That wasn't the genesis of faith-based casting. It's
No.
really coming from a belief in the storytelling, in the filmmakers, in the power of what these stories can do out
Yes.
in the world, which that's different than someone just trying to make a buck off of a
Correct.
bunch of, Christian filmmakers.
Yeah.
So,
Because that's
um
clearly where the money is.
yes, we can all attest,
Right.
right? Amy Brady said, "Love being a part of faith-based casting. My daughter got her first speaking role from the
Yes.
site." So we love
Right on.
that.
Yeah,
Love, love,
tell
love that.
everybody here who has used faith-based casting, please email me your testimonials, because we're also, with our improvements that we're making, there's going to be a testimonials page. And my goal, the best thing about it is, like at the film festival, is watching people get excited and then
Yeah,
watching them react. It's like you're talking about. They will send me the slate, and they'll send me like their breakdowns, and I'll get 20 rolls and sides, and then it's up for them and mounted within the hour. And they
right.
go, wait, it's already live? And I'm like, yeah, I did it. I ended it
You're
all
already
for you.
getting, yeah, you're
And I
already
approved
getting
it,
people.
and then I made it
Yep.
live. And they're like, oh, that's so amazing. Right? And it is free. And I'm like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
totally free. And
Yeah.
then we have 3 people who just came back. One of them just won a couple of major awards with one of their films, and they cast it entirely using us. And they just mounted another project, and they just started a television studio. And so they're now excited about using us repeatedly. And
Yeah.
for me, that is the ultimate. Is like, if we can tell each other that we're here. My goal
Yes.
isn't like to go out and sell us to you. It's to inspire you to use us, because we'll do it quick and we'll do it well. And we'll
Right.
be on your side if you call us and go, can we change this? Can we extend this? I'll go,
Yes.
sure. And then they call and
Exactly.
ask advice. No problem. I've
Yeah.
been in
And
this
then the more,
industry
yeah.
since I was 9.
Oh, okay.
So I've been
Yeah.
doing this a
Yeah,
long time.
exactly. And the more that the producers are who are making content are all, then the more the actors have to respond to, and the more
Yes.
opportunities, and it just grows and grows and grows, because then
Yes.
it is a win-win. My one of my success stories is the lead of the previous Kendrick Brothers movie called Life Mark. The lead
Hmm.
came from went from faith-based casting, indirectly Casting Calls Minneapolis. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
he also saw it on faith-based casting. So it was one of those things where even having that regional opportunity to
Hmm.
not just post it on faith-based casting, but I don't know if you guys know, but I also have an opportunity to post on faith-based casting, and then also regionally within the Casting Calls America family.
Yes.
So it can be a really great resources. But yeah, Rafael Ruggiero came through my posting on faith-based casting,
Awesome.
and
Well,
he's continued to work and grow and do projects, and
that's fantastic.
I love that. So
And it's
yeah, I think
important to
there's
note. I'm sorry, just to
no, please,
interject real quick to
no,
dovetail what you
please.
just said. It's important to note that you can cast out from faith-based casting to all of the Casting Calls America sites if you want to. They
Yeah,
cannot cast in to faith-based casting.
right.
We are safeguarded that way. So
Yes,
people in the secular market can't can't just come in and see what's going on in faith-based. But there are people in faith-based casting some people have a lot of experience, and they know, oh, yeah, I have no problem auditioning out in the world because
right.
I've dealt with so many actors,
Yeah,
so they're comfortable at that level. So if
yeah,
you desire to populate your film with people who may not believe exactly what you believe,
right,
you can,
right.
that's your option. It's left up to you, but they can't come back. They can't, it doesn't go both ways,
Yeah,
because some
that's
people
the
just want
safety
to do
net.
faith-based films.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
great, and that's the
Yeah.
safety net for,
Yes.
for the community inside of it, is that they're seemingly, obviously, we can't control everything. You can't. I say we a lot. That's why people, I think, have thought off and on that I'm like professionally associated or
Oh.
somehow a part of the company, because I say we, but I feel very close to faith-based and the goals,
Mhm.
and just the hope of how it will grow. So
Yeah.
okay, so Ginger Cressman has a technical question. So on
Okay.
faith-based casting, can you only upload one file? That has been what has kept me from using the site more. Not sure if that is a user error or if that is an actual setup of the site.
Do you
Um,
mean Do you mean to your profile, or do you mean when you are submitting, like if somebody has an audition and they say, please send us a movie file? Because if somebody has an audition and says, please read the following sides, slate your name, and send us a movie file, then yes, that you send. But you can have more than one link to demo reels and stuff on the site,
okay,
if that's what you're talking about. Like,
so you
I
can
have I have 2 reels. I have my comedy and my dramatic reel on there.
okay,
Um,
but
but if
as in
somebody
like
just wants you to send them an audition, that's typically one file, because producers don't want to receive a whole bunch of files from people. They want one quick one that they can look at and go, cool, swipe this to the side. We'll look at this one. We'll consider it.
okay, so
Otherwise,
that's
we'd have hundreds of them.
yeah, so that is what it sounds like. That is what she was asking.
Okay.
So if they do more than one take, and
Mhm.
also a slate, then the expectation for faith-based casting is that it's all put into one file, and then that one file is
Mhm.
uploaded, right?
Yes, and that's
And that
typically
is
what. Go ahead.
a little different from like some of the other sites where they can upload multiple individual files.
Mhm.
So I can see how if someone isn't maybe adept at editing
Sure.
those files together, or yeah, doesn't have that technical sort of savvy, that
Sure.
might be an issue. But the idea would be, and I hear what Jason's saying, is that it is easier for us to just see one file,
Mhm.
but and so you can have your slate and the takes all in one file. There are a
Mhm.
lot of easy ways to upload that. But on the flip side, Jason and Brian, I understand what Ginger's saying
Sure.
too, and that might be something you'll think about, because I on other platforms like Actors Access, for example, they can do one individual. Like I'll get the slate as a file, the one take as a file, the next take as a file.
Mhm.
It's a little more cumbersome, so the one solid take is
Sure.
great. But anyway, I do
Yeah.
get. So Ginger, the answer is that is correct. You would need to put your audition, the different takes, and the slate into one
Mhm.
file, and then upload that one file as
And
your
there are
audition.
there are resources out there. Like I have a couple programs on my phone that are free that enable you to do that as soon as you do your self tape, because most people do self tapes on their phones, with a ring
Yeah.
light and such. You just take the clips that you like, and they'll stick them together in one scene. The biggest
Okay.
problem we get isn't people trying to get multiple files in. It's that they record in 4K resolution, and they'll record like, a 4-minute video. And it's like, you got to just, you keep it simple. Don't
Yeah.
record your videos in 4K. We don't need to see you in 4K. No producer
Right.
needs to see that. And they're like, well, I expected 8K, just
Yes.
do it the lowest resolution, because you can actually get more on there if you
Yeah.
record at a low resolution. And then you can use a program, like for those of you who don't know, there's lots of them out there. Like just Google, free editing software. But I use Splice. Splice is really, really easy, because you can just pick all of your videos and just go connect, 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 delete, 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 send, and it creates a file for you, and then you can send it all in.
So
Um,
I'm not familiar with this. Is Splice an app?
Splice. It's an app, yeah, and it's
Okay.
free.
So
You pay for it if
okay.
you want to do more. If you get really good with it and you want to do more, and like, yeah, we shot this entire trilogy on it. Yeah, but it's a great program, and I use it all the time. And again, I'm not getting kickbacks from it, because there's a ton out there that do
Right.
free editing software. And I get the idea, and I think Brian gets the idea of like being able to submit many videos. There's just there's a slippery slope there, because most casting directors like yourself, you don't want to get 9 videos of different takes unless you specifically say,
Right.
hey, I really liked that take, can you give me
Yeah.
3 different versions of it? Because we
Right.
get people who will email me and say, hey, they wanted me to do this role and this role and this role, so I tried to audition for all of them. How do I get them all sent in? And I'm like, okay, slow down,
Right.
because if we had 100, some submissions, we have over 1,600. We have one series that has over 1,600 submissions on it, and it's an
Yes.
ongoing series. So imagine 1,600 people sending you 5 or 6 auditions.
Right.
Suddenly
Right.
you get inundated. That's why
Right.
in LA, they have casting directors who have assistants, and their whole job is to come in and sit and watch, 10 seconds, swipe left, 10 seconds, swipe right,
Right.
10 seconds. So,
Right. Yeah.
but it's a valid point of view.
Well, and it looks like Brian actually answered,
Mhm.
said, can upload multiple reels, which you had mentioned,
Yes,
Jason. And then it says, in new version, can submit multiple takes.
there you
So
go.
it sounds like maybe that's going to resolve
Yeah.
the very thing. Because there are times when I'm asking for more than one take.
Yep. And Brian's
Um,
allowed to talk about that because he knows.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Yeah, Robin said, "I had a similar issue with the breakdown requested both a visual slate and an audio file, so that would
Mhm.
have been 2 different files." So, but it sounds like that's being addressed, so
Mhm.
that's wonderful. But, um, I appreciate you guys that you're bringing these things up, because
Yeah,
it's best to hear it from those people who are using it, and so that
100%.
we can all sort of understand what's working and what might be, uh, room
Humbling
for
blocks.
a switch, or a
Yeah.
shift, and things are shifting all the time
Yes.
too. So,
It's
Emily, do you have to sign up with Casting Calls America and Faith-Based Casting? I would rather just sign up for Faith-Based.
You can do that. You can
Yeah,
just sign
so
up
you
with
can sign
FaithBased.
up,
But
just for
know that you're
Faith-Based
not going to
Casting.
see all the Casting Calls America, projects if you're just signed up with FaithBased. Because if you sign up with just FaithBased, you will only see projects that qualify as faith-based and family-friendly projects. So you're not going to get Sharknado 16 unless, of course, they all get saved. And then you might get Sharknado 16.
I know everyone here is so bummed that they are not gonna see the audition requests and
Right?
breakdowns for Sharknado 16.
Me too. Me too. It's one of
But
those things,
that
though.
is a point. So you have the option of just signing up for faith-based casting, in which case
Mhm,
you'll only see the projects that are specifically posted
mhm.
on faith-based casting, or you can sign up for faith-based casting and Casting Calls America, in
Correct.
which you will see the postings for everything that's on Casting Calls America, or in your region, I guess,
Yes. Yep.
depending on where you
Yes.
are. So,
Yep.
um, Amy Brady says it's really helpful to have a place where, when there is a casting opportunity, I feel like a second set of eyes are making sure these films and projects are appropriate for my daughter to audition for. And that's a great
Absolutely.
note as a
Mhm.
parent. That I think that's a wonderful part of what's happening. And that's one of the things I appreciate about Jason's work, is that they are um, that you are vetting it,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
ensure that this isn't just anybody willy-nilly being able to post their projects
Yeah. And
at
we
all.
do we
So
do gently warn people if they've crossed a line or are approaching crossing a line in the casting process.
yeah,
There was one individual that we had who really liked a selection for a child in his piece, but when he contacted them and they didn't get back to him right away. So he contacted them again, and then he contacted them again, and they ended up contacting me and saying, "Hey, what's his deal?"
yes,
And so I just gently went to him and said, "Hey, when you're dealing with children, you know, uh, you email them once, and if they don't get back to you, that's on them. Don't
right,
continue to pursue."
right,
And they felt terrible because they just didn't know.
right, right, right.
And they took about a 4 month break, but then they came back and they said, "Okay, I'm back. Let me know if I do anything." And I'm like, "No, totally. I didn't mean to rebuke you. I just meant to let
No,
you know. You make people
right,
nervous when you do that, especially when it has to do with kids. But it
yeah,
happens with adults too.
of
There are a
course,
lot of people who, and that's part of why we do the vetting. And we have a very stringent process for looking at who signs up as well and how they use the site, because we don't want people, we have two-factor authentication. We don't want people just coming in so they can scroll through all of the beautiful people and see all of their
right,
information. And I
yeah,
think most casting as a service, software as a service companies have that in place as
yes,
well
yeah,
to protect their
exactly.
clientele. Yeah.
Great. Okay, another question. Ann Keeney says the link at the bottom of Faith-Based Casting that says see projects on other sites, it takes you to DC Casting, for instance, but each area has a monthly fee. Is that right? So I think we answered that, because
Mhm.
you either sign up for Faith-Based Casting alone, and that is I think you said $9.99 a month, right? Um,
95. Yeah.
9.95,
Mhm.
and then if they wanted to be and see the other projects and actually submit for the other projects under Casting Calls America, then that would be an additional sign-up fee,
Because you're
right?
signing up to view
2
and
different.
submit to different content entirely. Uh,
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, and so that is right. The question, or the answer is yes.
Mhm,
You are understanding that correctly.
mhm.
Suzanne, Jennings. And if we as actors who use faith-based casting as we get cast, we bring our A games, do the best job, the most professional job we can, and everyone gains integrity. It's totally true.
Yes.
Totally true. Because,
Yes.
you know, as me as a casting director, every time I find someone that it through faith-based casting, then it generates my interest in using it again and again and
Yes.
again, because it's
Yeah.
being successful for me. It's, you know,
Right.
making my job work and making my job better. So
Yeah. The only
one of the
thing.
things I love about faith-based casting and actors, I've said this before, but I want to reiterate, because I'm still not sure that everyone kind of gets it. But when I post on faith-based casting, I have the option to automatically post the sides and tell people, go ahead and audition. Basically, I have the option to say, don't wait for me to ask you to audition. Go ahead and send me an audition.
Yes.
And that is unlike any other platform. I cannot do that on any other platform. So every other platform, you have to wait for me to go through all of the submissions, decide I want to have you audition, and then you get the invite, and then you're able to audition. With faith-based casting, and I do this now every time, is I can just say, here's the sides. You're welcome to audition without me inviting you specifically. And I'm kind of surprised at how many people don't. I'm thinking, you have a free audition. I'm telling you, like, here's your opportunity. You get to go to the head of the class, the head of the line, and go ahead and audition. And a lot of people don't. So I want to encourage you guys, our community of actors here, when you see that opportunity, you should be sending in an audition. Don't wait to be asked. If they're saying, hey, here's the materials, if you think you're right for this, and this is something you think you could do a good job with, then have at it and send it to me. I will look at every single audition that comes through. So that is a real bonus in faith-based casting that is not available anywhere else, that I really want the actors to be taking advantage of, because that, seriously, like, you don't have to wait. You get to just audition. Here's the material. And like I said, go to the front of the line, because every tape will get watched.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. So, okay, so Brian listed his email, because there's a couple of things he's chiming in on as far as like message, to make sure. So I'm sure Brian will then forward them to you, Jason.
Great. Fantastic.
But Brian graciously posted his email there. So if you, any of you who are asking like more technical questions, or questions that Jason is not at liberty to speak about, there's
it's not because
Brian.
I don't like you. It's because we have surprises coming.
Yes, exactly.
And Santa is in that corner of the screen, right? It's over there.
Yes, exactly.
It's over there. Yeah.
Brian Santa Jagger.
Yeah, it's things that we're working diligently on building. And like I said, we're in the final stages of breaking it to make sure that it doesn't break when it's in your hands. Because we don't, at the end of the day, of course, we want to be successful in having a business that's successful for everyone. But our goal isn't to just gather users. We want to inspire advocates. We want you to be advocates, so you talk about the process, so you get excited about doing it, so you can see how it works. You can experience successes, so you can share those successes with your friends, and share those successes with people who are other storytellers who don't know where to go. If we can build advocacy within the community, it is a much, much greater chance of sustainability and rewards and watching it spread, rather than just simply going after users. Because users don't have a relationship. Really, they're paying for a function. We're not just a function. We are faithful.
Yes.
I'll make that
and that's what I love.
No.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's what I love. That's one of the things, again, it's another one of the things I think that just sets faith-based casting apart, and the way that it really can become such a powerful tool, and even community, a hub
Mhm.
for, down the road, a hub for communicating what
Mhm.
projects are coming up and who's doing what, and success stories, and all of
Yeah.
those things.
I mean,
Um,
we cast church shows. People have asked us to cast their kids shows in their church, right?
yes.
We don't,
Yeah.
so we go all the way to student films, all the way up to,
Yes.
6, 7
Features.
figure
Yeah.
budgets. So
Right.
it's, you know, not
Yeah.
not as many 8 or 9 figure budgets yet, but we're getting there.
There you
Um,
go.
but it's growing. We just want people to be excited about it and know that we're there to use
That were
at their
right.
leisure. Just like you said, they can audition at their leisure.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Don Cheatham says, I may give it a try again. Woohoo. I really don't remember
Excellent.
what the issues were that I had. I just know I got aggravated and gave up. I think it was that I had paid, but it kept asking to pay again. I think someone had
Okay.
mentioned it previously about a cost for another region, probably just
Okay.
user error. So in the case of someone like Don, who is getting frustrated or maybe not understanding
You can
kind of what
text
they're
me.
being prompted
I mean,
for.
really. Yeah.
Yeah. So how can they, what's the email for you, Jason? Now that
Mhm.
you are the face of faith-based casting, and you and Brian.
It's just Jason at FaithBased. No, it's Jason at slateclick.com, because
Okay,
SlateClick is the parent company. And
Okay.
so it's Jason at slateclick.com.
Okay. So
Brian is
it's
Brian. We all have that moniker, but or you can put my phone number up there, and they're welcome to text me. And
okay.
seriously, I have no problem with people texting me or calling
Well,
me.
let's
If they
start with
call
your
me, I might screen them, but
yeah.
usually
Let's start with your email address.
yeah,
So
it's Jason at slateclick.com. You can ask me anything, and if I don't know the answer, guess who I gave it to? You saw his name there just
there
a
you
minute
go.
ago. Yeah.
So
We have
Jason
a great
J.A.
team, though, technically, for technical support as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So JASON at SlateClick, which is
Yeah. You know what
SLATE.
do they all know what a slate is?
CLICK.
Yeah. A slate, for those of you who don't know, it's one of the it's these.
It's the it's the
One of these.
It's the
And when it goes
clapperboard, right?
That's a slate click. Okay.
There you go. So Jason at slateclick.com, right?
Yep.
Okay. So so Don, if you give it a try again, which I hope you do, use that email if you reach a point of frustration again or have questions.
Email me. Email me and we'll work through it. Yeah, and I can hopefully I can explain. Because some people get really, really frustrated, and then it's like it'll be over something that they didn't understand, but it wasn't their fault. It wasn't listed clearly on the site. And that's one of the other things is we're going through and we're coming through and making sure that things are crystalline. Just like I mentioned before with the resolution on your video submissions.
Right.
Some people, they never switch that in their iPhones, and they sit there and they record everything.
Bianca Bevis said you can change the settings on your phone from 4K to 1080p, which is all you need, and that's exactly right. Or it might be called HD, or hers is FHD, which is full HD, and in case anyone wasn't sure. So 1080p or even 740, 720.
Yep.
720, 721, would be fine. So you guys, where you have those options to change, you can do that so that your files aren't so huge. Brian Jagger says, Jason is an amazing asset to us all. You are. We're getting a lot of buzz about Sharknado. People want to audition for Sharknado 16.
All right, I will write it. I got to go through some legal hoops first.
Yeah, Brad Roberts says some early Oscar buzz for Sharknado 16.
Yes.
So,
one thing I want to encourage people really quick, though, when you're talking about submissions, make sure that we can see you. Make sure that we can hear you.
Yes.
Right. And then be yourself. Be personable. Right. Yeah. Because you're not just auditioning for a role, you're saying hello as a person to somebody
Yes.
who is meeting you for the first time. And many casting directors, which I'm sure Beverly can attest to, you want to build a relationship with that person, not just hire them once and say goodbye. And so
Yes.
make sure you at least do those three things. We got to see you. We've got to hear you. All right. So don't do it in a dark room, or don't wear, epithets, but you don't have to worry about that. But don't do it in a room that's lots of noise and crowded and, or you sound like this and you go,
Right.
find a quiet place.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Introduce yourself and then have fun being invited to show us what you do. It's
Right.
we want you to succeed.
Right. Yeah.
We
That's the thing
we
to
have deep
remember.
desire for you to succeed.
I want them to succeed
Yep.
too, because the sooner
Yep.
they succeed, then the sooner I can put check on certain roles. So,
Yep. Yep.
Ivy Jones, it says, this is Ivy's mom.
Hi, Abby,
If
Mom.
we had a bad experience with the producer lacking integrity and saw some red flags, should we let you know? She's asking because this did
Yes.
happen to her
Yes.
from a role her daughter booked on faith-based casting. So
Yes.
yes, you are the person that they
100%.
should go to. Okay.
Absolutely, without reservation.
Okay. So
Because
you guys,
I need to know that for several reasons.
yeah,
One, to make sure that, okay, if I need to know as soon as it happens, because then I need to communicate with you to get some specifics about it, and then I need to talk to them, but I do it in a way that doesn't implicate you and put you or your daughter in danger.
yes.
I just say that we have had reports, and tell me. I'd like to hear more about what happened,
Yeah,
because that's not something that we ever want to happen. Ever,
exactly.
it's not okay.
Exactly.
And
So
there's grace for their heart and soul, but not for their presence on the website if they're
right.
doing that.
So again, Jason at slateclick.com, if you
Yep.
want to give more information to Jason about that, just as an
Yeah.
FYI, it sounds like it was, maybe a little ways in the past, but still might be good for him to know, though.
Yeah, it's good for us to have at least the information on file, because if that name comes up again and they were looking to cast something new, I need to at least be aware that
Yeah,
this
yeah.
existed. And yeah.
So Robin says, I used, there we go, Jason at
Hey, look at that.
slateclick.com. Perfect. Thanks, Diego.
It's
Diego's
2024.
the wizard behind. Robin says, I used faith-based casting to cast Magi and found Peter Xifo, who's wonderful, and Jasmine Wright Curley, who's wonderful. And we were awarded Best Short Director at ICFF.
Please, please send me that email.
Yeah,
Give me your testimonial. Send it to me.
Awesome, Robin.
Yep.
That'd be great to know.
Yeah.
Okay. How often do child parts come through faith-based casting?
We get them. It's not like the majority, but we do get them. We also have a division of Casting Calls America that's just for kids as well.
Okay.
But we do since it's just strictly faith-based, yeah, we do get them. It really depends on the project. It's not,
right.
It's not every day, but
Right.
I will see them. I will see Casting Calls for Kids. The alliteration, Casting Calls for Kids.
There you go.
I will see Casting Calls for Kids come through constantly, committing. No, yeah, but they do. They do come through. It all depends on the project.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I would say that as a casting director, I don't get projects involving kids are unique. There are unique challenges to that with schooling or ages or labor laws. So, yeah. So, it's not something that is the most common thing, just because it is more costly and more complicated to do those projects. So I would say that it's not like it's going to be a 50-50 kind of thing ever. I just don't think that's even in mainstream. It's just, there's always going to be a smaller percentage of projects calling for child actors, but they'll come. I would guess that the percentages on faith-based casting are the same as any mainstream, any other platform. It's just, it's just going to be a certain smaller percentage of that. Jenny says, I remember not being able to see who the casting director is on a project.
that has also
Good.
been addressed and accounted for. That's going to be clear in the new build.
Awesome. Yay.
Yeah,
That's
but
awesome.
if at present, underneath there's a whole about the creators field.
Yeah.
Oops, I gave that away. But at present, if you are using the current shell, you can put about the story and then about the project, and that's kind of what I encourage everybody to do that when they put their project up there. But a lot of people won't.
Oh,
They
got
just
it.
talk about the
Okay.
project. I'm like, they kind of want some authenticity. They want to know who you are, But some people
Yes.
are brand new. However,
Yeah.
there are those who, they're here for, they do 3 or 4 projects a year, and they still don't put that information in there. And I
Yeah.
encourage them, hey, the more you talk about you, the more of a chance that you'll have engagement. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. But there is
Brian,
a very
yeah,
specific field for that now in the new build.
perfect.
Yep.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
Brian Jagger said it was probably my fault. And I don't know what he's referring to, but okay. We'll just decide it was probably your fault.
Yeah.
Um Okay, so in general, you guys, I see a few other questions that are sort of talking about people's individual experiences.
Okay.
So I
Shoot
would
them over to
encourage
me.
you, now that you have Jason's
Yeah.
email, is to email him with those specific questions.
Right now.
Um,
Right now.
there you go, so that he can speak to you or answer your question directly. Adam Thayer is asking, when do you anticipate the new version to be out?
That's a Brian question. We
Okay.
are, but I can tell you that we are in the final stages of releasing it to our test market,
Okay.
because we have to release it to a test market first to make sure everything works before we go wider with it. Because we are in many regions through, I think we're at 34 regions throughout the
Okay.
United States now, as with Casting Calls America, and so we
Okay.
just need to make sure that one test market works very well before we go, okay, duplicate, because that
Right.
also involves moving a lot of information and a lot of
Okay.
data and
Okay.
educating a lot of people on the changes. So we want to make sure that all the little duckies are walking in the same direction before
Yes.
we say go. But it
Yes.
is being worked on literally as we speak. Like Ryan
Kathy
is probably
Bates
working on it while he's watching this.
in his
I'm not
bat
kidding.
cave. I know. Um, uh, let's see. Kathy Bates. She brings
She's
up good
great.
point. Kathy A. Bates, and Kathy
Oh,
A. Bates is also great.
she's great too.
She is. She's awesome, very talented. The pay is either paid or not paid, but no details. Will that be changing? Like when we fill out,
Oh,
like, is it a paid role or not paid role? You click paid.
it's that's another sticky wicket, because people will say paid depending on experience, right?
Mm,
Or they'll say day rate $80, and then the next person will say day rate 160. I just put one in today that was, they just wrote rate 600 to 800, and that's all they wrote. And I went, okay, is that the whole project? What? And then they emailed me though immediately, and they went, oops, I think I forgot to say per week. Can you change that?
yeah.
So I immediately went in and put per week. But that's another thing that needs to go in that about the project box. Now, again, if you're union, chances are it's paid.
Right.
It's,
Yeah. If it's a SAG
yeah,
project, whatever
yeah.
contract it's under
Yes,
will
and
tell you what the base pay is.
there is a field for that.
Okay.
But it's hard to get people to be upfront about where all the money is and who gets paid what, because supporting
Right.
roles aren't getting paid as much. Day players, under fives, day
Right.
players, supporting principal leads.
And that is true. As a casting director, I have some roles that the range will be higher because it's a more prominent role or, more time, and other roles that are much simpler that would be less. And so it can be each role, the range for each role is different. And oftentimes it is a range based on experience. And so that it becomes a little more complicated on how we communicate that. Now,
Right.
typically on some other platforms, there's sort of a base pay, like it will be no less than this. So there's a way to kind of state that, but that is Kathy, that's a very fair
Sure.
point. And I'm learning from Jason as a casting director, I need to, in that about the project, maybe
Mhm.
put some more specific information about the pay for the roles or how that's going to work.
Right.
So, Kathy, that's a fair note,
Mhm.
and
Yeah, and
yeah, I'll be a little bit
we are breaking out union, and we're also breaking out travel paid question mark, lodging paid question mark,
great.
because right now I think it exists. It just says travel paid, and there's nothing about lodging. And that's
Okay.
one of the biggest questions that people ask,
Okay.
is will the lodging be paid?
Yeah.
So, and then there, but the lodging, but there's a field, it's not yes or no, because some people will say lodging provided, not paid.
Yes.
Different projects all over the place. Some people have bed and breakfasts or Airbnbs ready to go, and so you don't
Yeah.
have to pay for it, but you're
Right.
not getting paid to go to your own hotel.
Right.
So yeah, it's really, I think one of the best things that I can do and encourage, and even if we have to put prompts before each field with a disclaimer, like
Hmm.
here is where you would like to put this, so people have a better understanding of who is
Yes.
the director, who is the
Hmm.
producer, how much the pay rate is, range. And
Yes.
so if we put that in to a parenthetical at the beginning of the form field, it might
Yep.
give people more of a prompt to be more forthcoming with that information
I
instead of
agree
just
with you.
about the project.
Yeah, I
So
totally agree with you because
yeah,
that is something I have seen, and there are times where there's a field, and I'm trying to think what specifically are they asking for in here, and you can click on something and it gives an example of
right.
the type of information, and it gets my
Yeah.
mind thinking, "Oh,
So
okay, let me
yeah, I'm
list
gonna
all of
make a
this
note of that. I'm sure
info."
Brian's making a note of it, but I'll make a note of it too, because one of the things that I think I have ideas and then I shoot them off to the developer who I'm working with, who is one of Brian's peeps, the
Yes.
one that I go to try to break things.
Yes.
So I will put that in. I will just make the note parenthetical.
Oh,
The root of
Jenny,
which
you are
is parent. Right.
yes.
Yeah.
Um, Jenny, you are very kind in your comment, and lots of people are saying that this has been very, very helpful to them. So,
Good.
I'm so glad, and that's part of the reason, or the main reason that we wanted to have Jason on, and Jason was so gracious and kind to give us your time and to
It's a
um,
camera. I'm an actor. Why would I not be here?
exactly.
You get to talk to people even with no voice. Yeah.
Yeah, so tell me, you were telling me just on a personal note, um, you're directing something right now, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
tell
I'm
me,
directing.
aside from your faith-based casting world,
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
actor, director, creative person, what are you
Yeah.
working on now?
Right now, I'm in the throes. We have a week off, but we open a Midsummer Night's Dream next week. It'll be the third time I've directed it this year at 3 different schools. Yeah, but this one's a summer program, so it's a 3-week intensive. So they were cast on a Monday, and then they auditioned on a Monday. They worked for 5 days. They had another 5 days. Now they get 5 days off because it's a holiday week, and then next week they perform it. So Shakespeare's like one of my favorite things. And I
Awesome.
enjoy it very much. And but I also use improv. I use I've been teaching and coaching and acting for a long time. So for me, it's like you spend your entire life building up this big tool bag of tricks,
Yes.
and you keep your favorites. You try them all. You keep your favorites, and you say, okay, that didn't work as well for me, but it might work for someone else. And that behooves you as a director to know that that person uses Meisner, and I didn't particularly take to Meisner. I'm more of a Stanislavski person, but I get Meisner because I studied it, and so I
Yeah.
can use that to work with them to inspire them to get to where they need to go on their terms. So I
Yes.
encourage everybody to study, 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 eat, sleep, drink, consume your art, because
Yes.
you get one. Yes, we have eternal life, but you get one here, and you might not have to audition as much later on. But so I want that role. You have it. Yay!
Yeah.
But consume all aspects of your art because it will fill you. And
Yeah.
I think the last thing I'll say on that is I get so many older actors who are depressed because they say I had to take such a long break because of life. And I'm like, if you don't do life, you're not informing your art. If you're going to play a character that's full of life, but all
Yep.
you do is spend all of your time acting, how are you informing your art? You're not.
Right.
You're recycling. So
Right.
every experience we have as an actor informs us and matures us and strengthens us and breaks us, but and heals us. And that's
Yes.
the sublime, you know, joy that, God's a creator. And
Mhm.
every time a writer gives his project away, it dies. But when an actor picks it up, it's resurrected.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're the ones resurrecting that. And when a
Yeah.
director takes it, it goes from the dead years. The actor goes, "It's not my baby anymore." Unless they can be all things, then they're like, "It's
Right.
my baby all the time." But actors, when you pick it up, you are taking something that was dead and you're breathing new life into it, which
Yep.
is another, reflection of our Creator.
Exactly. It's
And
two-dimensional on the page,
it's
absolutely
yes,
two-dimensional
absolutely. And
until the
even
actors and the director breathe three-dimensional
yes,
life and give it
yes,
humanity,
absolutely.
and, yeah, it's,
Yeah,
let's
it's
see,
important.
uh, Brad Shakespeare's excellent training for actors. I
Yes.
agree, and obviously Jason agrees.
Mhm.
Aaron Timmy asked, "Does Jason do online coaching?"
Not at present, only because I've been so busy teaching. Because I do coaching offline, and I was, I've had that question asked a few times from folks through faith-based casting, and so I'm considering it more. I just find that I might open a channel of, but I don't. There's a cognitive dissonance that happens when you're using a screen because you're
Mhm.
instantly self-conscious because you're looking at you and the person that you're studying with. And as opposed to being in the same room with somebody, when you're standing in a room with somebody, you bring something into that room and they
Yeah,
bring something into that room. But on a screen, that doesn't convey in the same way that it does live. Whether you're doing theater or film, that doesn't matter because when you get on a set and when you're on a set, there's so many distractions. Whereas when you're on a
right.
stage, the only distraction is I have to be here the whole time, you know?
Yeah.
So, um, I don't do online coaching at present, but it's something I'm considering. And I've also been talking. I'll wait down the line.
Yeah.
Just been
If
talking
that
about.
changes, you let us know. I
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
do open that, let us know,
okay,
and,
yeah.
I'm
Because I
sure
love
that
teaching. It's so much fun to watch people get terrified. It's like I'm going to be an actor, but I'm terrified to show people my face. Well, you've got an issue.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, yeah, like I said, if you that our Tuesday family and the faith community family would love to know that if you
Yeah.
decide
Okay.
to, change that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to yeah, Grace says she's had a hard time with online classes. Totally get it,
Hmm.
totally get that.
Yeah. COVID
Um,
messed a lot of
yeah,
people up that way because suddenly you have to do it,
yeah,
and people got sour.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, our time has flown by. You've been awesome, and there's more and more we can talk about. And maybe when the updates and things are released,
Mhm.
we can have you back on and we can get specific about some of the things that
We'll get
have
real.
shifted and changed. That would be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And thank
And
you so much. There's so
hey,
many comments
thank
about
you. Thank you
nuggets
very
of
much.
wisdom and just the things you said and your heart. So,
Well, I'm grateful
um,
to be here. Thank you so much.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
appreciate all of you. Yeah.
Thanks for being a part of our family.
Yay. And you too, Diego, even though you're the man behind the curtain. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. The giant behind the curtain. And Brian Jagger, thank you
Thanks,
you
Brian.
for joining us as well. So, okay, we will see you guys. Everyone have a happy and safe 4th of
Yay.
July.
Yep.
And yay, America,
Yep.
yay, our independence, or else we would all be talking like this.
Or we'd
And
all be dead.
yes, or we yes, so yay, America. God
Yeah.
bless America, that's for sure.
Indeed.
That's what we want above all, God bless America. So,
Indeed.
love you guys, and we will see you next week. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, let's go.